Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Vancouver Rain Draft to Glory franchise mode here in MLB to show 23. And sorry if I sound really tired. I got a terrible sleep last night for no reason. I think it's because I was playing like some game and I literally got stuck on a level for about 2-3 hours, and I was stubborn enough to play it all the way until I finished that level. And finally, when I did so, I went to sleep, but yeah, I had a terrible sleep, so sorry if I sound a little bit exhausted. But anyways, welcome back to the Vancouver Rain series. I am excited for this episode, and obviously for next episode especially, because that is the time we are going to find out if we're actually going to be a playoff team this year. But this episode, of course, is going to be fun because it is the draft. We don't really know too much about this draft class, I'd say. It's not looking like it's going to be the best draft class on paper. But I hope that we could find a good player with our pick, because we do have the 4th overall pick this year. And yeah, hopefully we can at least have a decent pick at our spot that could kind of help fill out our roster a little bit more, or give us more depth in case we end up losing people in the offseason and that type of thing, because we do have a lot of big players to re-sign this offseason. Some players are playing really good this year, so they might ask for a decent chunk of money, like Ollie Gellman, for example. He has been batting really well this year, and I think it's just because mostly he wants to get paid. As you can see so far, he's batting at .314, so this guy definitely thinks he's going to be worth a decent chunk of change soon, which is unfortunate. I'd like to keep him around, but I might not be able to because with the salary cap at the moment, because we did lock up a lot of guys to some decent contracts at the moment. So we'll see if we're able to get him back in the offseason. But for right now, let's focus on the draft ahead of us. So first, before we get into the draft, I do have a couple comments to go over. So the first two are from Nick Bacher-Barnes OC. He says, Springer is the guy. And then I asked him, anybody you'd scout out longer? And he says, not a super exciting draft, to be honest. I don't see much there. So he is saying Springer should be our first pick this year. As you can see, Howard Springer. Pretty much he looks like a good hitter in a sense, with the vision and the contact hitting is solid for the future. I think it's going to take him a little bit to develop, in a sense, his hitting game. He's a great defensive one, in a sense. Like, he doesn't have like the arm strength that a shortstop needs, but he does have like the speed, well, not the speed, doesn't really matter. The reaction is pretty good. The speed and the stealing is also really good too, so we might have some more good speed on our base paths like we always do if we end up grabbing him, but he's saying to grab him at the moment. The next two comments are from Michael Dose. The first one says, Morris for Silva. I would do anything to bring up Pulls to the MLB bullpen, assuming he's pitching well in AAA. So he wants to call up Pulls. So let's take a look at Pulls' stats. I already think I did, but I don't remember if he was good or not. So Darren Pulls so far, how has he been in terms of quality starts? He is 16 games started, 10 quality starts. That's not bad. He does still have a couple minor league options. We could always call him up, like he was mentioning, and then Morris would go in for Silva. Silva would probably get sent back down to AAA for the rest of the season until like September call-ups at least. I think that's reasonable because Silva has been absolutely our worst pitcher by far, so we kind of want to address that. So let's do that. Let's go to our roster actually quick here, and we will send down Mr. Silva, get him a chance to play in AAA, and hopefully he could kind of find himself a little bit again. And we will call up Darren Pulls to the MLB, and we will go to our pitching rotation, and we'll move Brian Morris in as a starter. Excuse me, why did you do it like that? Oh well, we'll do it like that. And we'll see if Brian Morris is ready to go, and then Darren Pulls will be the reliever instead. Yeah, that looks good. Hopefully those guys could do good enough and get us some more wins, because the other guys have been doing pretty solid, especially obviously Garth Howe, but still there's that. And the next comment from Michael says, playoff time is looking good. Springer has no power, so not really sold on him as a first round pick. So he's saying to not take Springer, so because of he's not really got the power game. Yeah, his power looks like terrible. So I don't know if we would take him. We might take him, we might not. It depends on some of the other comments, so we'll see what ends up happening at this draft, because it might be a bit of an interesting draft for us. We might have to just completely guess in a sense. Next two comments are from Crazy G. He says, next time, make sure to show us some attributes on more of the top prospects that were scouted so we could get a better gauge of their talents. So I'll do that from now on. I did actually send Crazy G some screenshots of some players' attributes and stuff like that, so he got a little bit more of a better sense on the Discord channel. But yeah, I will start doing that more often if I could at least remember, so that way you guys can kind of give me a better consensus on what we should be drafting. And then also Crazy G says, I like Springer's contact bat potential and his speed and reaction potential. His fielding is playable, just not at shortstop. He would need to be moved to second base. Extra weak scouting players, Dan Chase, Dan Tan, which I think he actually meant David Tan, but Dan Tan sounds funny, and Julio Marte. And then he also says, depending on the attributes for Weinstein, it would depend on his stats as to if he's more of a selection than Springer. Or he's worth more than selection than Springer. But also do really like Randolph, the 23-year-old left fielder, because he's an immediate impact guy, especially with the potential of maybe losing Gelman. Just not sure if he's worth the 4th overall, I guess. It really depends on his attributes. So basically, yeah, we already have the guys set up that he was telling me to scout out longer. But yeah, Weinstein might end up being a good selection. We do need more third basemen in case, for example, we lose Schneider this offseason. And we do have Pip, who's decent, but I wouldn't say he's phenomenal by any standards. So maybe Weinstein's decent. He's got great power versus righties for the future, maybe. But the other stats, a little bit average, but he still looks pretty good. And then he was also mentioning the outfielder in Randolph, which Randolph, he was telling me in the Discord that he might end up being more like an Ozzie Cardenas type guy. Not a super high potential, but a high overall at 23, and he might have some really good attributes. So this guy might be a decent pick, but I don't know if he's really worth the 4th overall selection. So we'll have to make our decision when we get to that point. But he's got a lot of interest as well with this team, which is kind of nice. And final comment is from Dylan Burrows, who says, predictions 91 wins, either just miss or just in the wild card. And I hope you're right. We'll find that out next episode. We'll definitely be simulating a little bit of the season, though, just so we could get those contract signs from the draft. But I am excited to see what happens the rest of the season for sure. Hopefully we can make it into the playoffs in a sense, because obviously losing Ollie Gelman maybe this offseason could be kind of a downfall of this team a little bit. But I'm really hoping that we could pretty much just keep everything together for next year as well. But let's get to the draft and see if we're able to snag up a good steal or anything. I really don't know if we're going to have a good draft, to be honest, but we'll see what happens. Let's go to AAA's rotation. I forgot to throw Silva into the pitching rotation for AAA. I wanted to not auto adjust it because I want these guys to be playing in the right spots. And I don't want to go to AAA's roster stuff. There we go. Let's go week up into the draft. There's a win, 3-1 over the White Sox. Another win, a couple losses, which is not great. There's a win now. And there is a loss. So let's get into this draft. Let's add some prospects to our list here. Let's get a little bit of a look at those guys that Crazy G was telling me to extra scout out a little bit longer. So Dan Chase, yeah, he's not fully scouted, but he's looking pretty good. If he ends up going in the 2nd round, I might honestly want to take him, because he might have a good high potential, but we don't know that for sure. He was also saying Tan, which is, where was Tan again? What position was Tan playing? Oh, shortstop. Okay. Was it shortstop? Wait a second. Oh, third base. My bad. Oh, there he is. Yeah, 45% scouted. He might be a really good outfielder, like, well, not outfielder, but fielding wise and stuff like that. But and also might have a high overall out of the gate, but might not have a high potential. Who knows? Might be a 2nd rounder. Who knows? Marte, as well as what he was mentioning, which was, I think, a shortstop. Yeah, Julio Marte. And not really sold on that. He's actually probably a good shortstop because he's got the defensive stats, but he doesn't have the offensive stats either. That's my guess. But he's only 55% scouted, so we can't really guess on that. Let's go back to all players, and let's just add a couple of these guys to our draft queue that are 100% scouted. Everybody, actually, that's like 90 to 100% scouted will add. That way we know. Actually, 70 to 100, because I feel like that's a better range. That way we have everybody that we want to on our list, and then we could kind of go through it once we get to the point and see if we have people available. I really hope we have a good draft, but I honestly feel like this might be one of my worst drafts just because I'm a bit tired, so I might make a dumb selection. Who knows? We're outside of the first round, but I'm still going to add everybody that's 100% outside of the first round too, because that way we know if there's going to be a steal potentially, which I think there is a couple guys, like this Chu guy, for example. Actually, not this Chu guy, he's 23. Well, there was a couple guys that were looking like good steals for later rounds that were not supposed to get drafted. So I hope that I'm able to snag one of those guys up, because that would be good to add, obviously, a good steal in the draft. There's another 100%er. We did a good job in scouting again, I think, in terms of at least finding like players in late rounds and stuff that are supposed to go. So, because I think our general scouting of starting pitchers at least kind of helps us get a little bit more of a consensus on everything. Okay, we're almost got everybody on our list finally, and then we could get into this draft. And like I said, hopefully it's a good draft, but I'm not really fully sold on it. And also, I don't know if I will be able to make a good selection in this draft either, because I am a little bit tired. So we will see how this goes. There we go. So everybody's on our list. Let's get into this draft and see what ends up going before us, because maybe that'll help us make an easier selection with our pick. Because, or else if everybody that's on our list is still there, I might have to kind of just like look a little bit more through their stats and stuff like that. So the Reds have the first overall pick, followed by Miami, Philadelphia, and then it's us. So Philly's going to be getting another solid player potentially to go with Ned Thompson, who they drafted last year. Or was it last year or was it 2 years ago at this point? I don't even really know. I think it was last year, because I'm pretty sure he's playing in AA or AAA right now, because they decided to give him 1 year in the minors, which is kind of crazy, but the guy's going to be an absolute stud once he gets into the MLB, which is probably next season, my guess. So let's start up this draft and see who goes first overall. So who is Cincy taking? Who is the Reds taking? I kind of recognize this guy, but I don't know who it is. Oh, it's Kevin Carrasco. I think we did have him a little bit scouted, 70%. He looks like he could be a good pitcher, so... But who knows, maybe he's not that good. Maybe he's a 59 with an 80 potential. But he goes first overall to the Reds. Left-handed pitcher too, which is kind of nice because everybody needs left-handed pitchers. We only have a couple of them ourselves, so hopefully we can find some left-handed pitchers if we end up drafting any pitchers this year. We've drafted a ton of guys. Holy crap, this dude's short. Jim Higgins, shortstop, going second overall to Miami. Looks like a really short guy. I honestly got to take a look at his height once we get to the signing portion, because I am curious on how tall this guy is. That is if he does sign with Miami, but he looks like he's probably like 5'7", my guess. Interesting. Never had that guy scouted out at all, so I don't know if he's good. Miami's scouts think they got the best player, though. Who knows? Third overall. Let's see, who is this? Kind of looks familiar as well. Oh, it's Eric Escobar. Oh, that's a bad pick, Philly. Oh, man. So they got a great player last year. They'd go with the outfielder who's injured, has a low overall probably, and a low potential. He was the not the unanimous #1 pick. He was the MLB top pick, and our scouts thought he was number 104th. So I think our scouts might be a bit more accurate than Philadelphia's on that. That's not looking good. That's not looking good at all. That gives us everybody that we almost wanted to look at. So here's a further look at Springer. Looks decent. I think Springer still has to be the guy almost. I think he does. Like, I do like Horgan in a sense for outfield as like a replacement for Gelman because of the contact hitting, the discipline, but he's got very low interest, which is not great, especially with how high of a pick this is. And then also, like you guys were saying, like Randolph could be a really great player because he's going to be an immediate impact kind of guy, kind of like Ozzy. But is he worth this high of a pick? I don't think so. I don't think so. Montaigne's ain't looking too great. Fishman. Becerra's nice too. I wouldn't mind Becerra, but I don't think he's worth it either. I do need more catching prospects that are actually decent, but I honestly can't bank on Becerra being that good. Carrasco, great walks per nine, good stamina, good pitch control. He might be decent too, but he's not going to have the highest potential, my guess. So I think we're going to just take Springer here. His interest is a little bit low, so we're going to have to get that a little bit higher, but he might have the highest potential in this draft. He might have a good starting overall, and obviously we could get him to work a little bit more on his hitting game a little bit, like the contact hitting, to get a little bit better. The power game obviously is going to be a long shot to get better, but he could be a solid all-around player if we could get that power hitting to being better. And in arm accuracy, obviously we're probably not going to use him as a shortstop, I guess. We'd probably have to use him as a second base, because yeah, that arm accuracy is not good enough unless we want to focus on that as a thing for him to train on, because that would be probably a good thing to do, that train him for that in the system. Like, he could play shortstop in the system, I don't care if he's making mistakes down there, but if we train him in that area, he'll come into the MLB and hopefully be a little bit better on that area, and then he could actually be a shortstop for us. So yeah, Howard Springer is going to be our selection here, and hopefully that was the right call. Hopefully that was the right call. So there is that pick. Let's sim to our next pick and go back to the first round and see who went here. So Johnny Randolph actually went 6th overall, so maybe we should have taken him as the 4th overall selection, but he goes to Baltimore. Fishman goes to Kansas City. Carrasco goes to the Mets. Castaneda to the Braves. Horgan goes to the Yankees. Anybody else that I fully remember? Montaigne's goes to the Cubs, I think that is, or is that the Guardians? That's the Guardians, yeah. It's definitely the Guardians. Weinstein goes all the way at number 22 to the the Brewers. That might be actually a really good pick for them. They also have already a lot of good pitchers. And unfortunately, Becerra already went to the Padres. David Tan already went as well. Damn. Okay, we have our competitive round balance A pick here. I do like Raymond Chu, kind of, but he's 23. That's the only problem. 21 for Pablo Cabrera. Oh, yeah, Cabrera looked solid as well. I don't know. This is where it's going to get iffy for me, because I don't really know if a lot of these guys are going to be good. Luis Valentine looks pretty balanced, but he's 23 as well. A lot of overagers. This guy, on the other hand, he's got velocity, he's got break, he's got stamina, but that's pretty much it. And then the rest of these players, not looking too great. Fletcher Sanchez is definitely going to be a pick, though, maybe next round, because he's a potential good future shortstop as well. So, I guess I'm going to go with one of the old, like 23-year-olds and try and bank on the fact that they might be really good out of the gate. Let's see, 1 blue stat, 2 blue stats. Mostly red, though. Mostly red on Cabrera. Mostly red on Valentine. Cedeno honestly might be the best out of the bunch because of the velocity and the break, but like the home runs of 9 is never going to be good, so he might be more of a reliever. I do not know who to choose here. Holy, 3 blues in the future, 3 blues in the future, 1 blue in the future, 1 blue in the future, 4 blues in the future. Let's go for the blues in the future. So Raymond Chu, we're going to take you. Raymond Chu, I choose you. There we go. I don't really know. I know he's 23, but honestly, I am confused on this draft a little bit. So I just hope it could give us a little bit more depth in our system. I am going to take, I think, maybe not yet, Fletcher Sanchez. Let's take a look at some of the other players that we didn't scout out at all and see if we can maybe take a random steal here. So there's a couple guys that might have 99 potential, but it's not guaranteed. We'll take an outfielder here just because we do need more players in the outfield, obviously, with potential losing Gelman. So Juan De La Silva, we'll just randomly take you. And hopefully you're decent. Take a chance on some of these random dudes. And now we're going to take Fletcher Sanchez, I think, just because I don't want to lose the chance of getting him, because he's probably going to have a high ceiling, but he's going to be a low potential, or he might have a low potential with a low overall, something like that, but might as well grab him. Give us some more shortstops in the system, because it's always good to have a little bit more depth. Pablo Cabrera is the only one left on our board. 21 years old. I don't really like the looks of his stats. He might be an okay reliever because he's got stamina. His hits per 9 could get okay, so I think we might end up having to use him as a reliever. Let's take Pablo Cabrera here and use him maybe more as a relief pitcher in the future. And then we go to round 5 here. I honestly do not know what to take next at this point. Let's look at through our scouted ones. 35%. Yeah, oh, these are the only 2 left. These guys are only 35% scouted, so these are very unreliable numbers. I might just take this guy because he's 18. And he was supposed to go undrafted. Let's just take him. Let's just take a couple some more pitchers. We have so much pitchers though, but might as well take them. And our final pick of the draft. Let's see if we could find any crazy steal here. There is Becerra. Might be a long shot player, but it's another outfielder for the system. Let's do it. Let's do it. We need some more. I might honestly lose a couple guys in the next few years, so might as well take another. So there is our draft. I don't know if it was going to be a good draft or not. We probably end up making some bad selections there, but there's our draft. Let's see who is in the home run derby this year. Let's see. Nobody for us. That's kind of a surprise that Sixto didn't make it, because I thought Sixto was doing good in terms of that, but maybe not. And the All-Star game. Who made it to the All-Star game this season? Looks like Garth Howe is going to be the starter in the All-Star game this year, which is pretty damn good. It's the first time I think he's made the All-Star game, or one of the times he's only made the All-Star game. But he's been absolutely killing it, as you can see with the ERA and the wins. He is the starting pitcher. Who else is in the All-Star game this season? Nobody else in terms of the pitching. Wow. So only Garth Howe makes it. And then Ollie Gelman made the All-Star game, of course, considering this dude wants to get paid. Sixto made the All-Star game, so there's 3 players. Ozzy Cardenas also made it as a starter. Damn. 4 starting players. And any bench players? No. Oh, Gary Steiner too. 5 players made it into the All-Star game this year for us. That's the most representation we've ever had at the All-Star games, so that is pretty awesome. As the AL has beaten the NL too, so that's nice. Let's go. So we can't sign our players yet. We should be able to soon now. Bobby Hyde is back. That is huge. Let's go place on bench for a second. And yes, let's stop simulating. Okay, so Bobby Hyde being back is also really good news, because he's our best reliever by far. So hopefully he can do some damage again. Let's get to signing these prospects, because this is already a little bit of a longer episode. So, well, actually not super long, but still, let's get into signing our prospects here. So we need Springer's interest to get up there a little bit. So we're going to keep him as the #1 option right now. Let's try and sign Chu right away. How much money we got? 13 million. Should be able to get this guy easily. Nice. There, Raymond Chu's already accepted the 23-year-old. Hopefully he's actually okay. Cabrera, we're going to try and sign you as well. And he declined 75% interest. Damn it. Was not expecting that. Fletcher Sanchez, get your interest up. He declines as well. Come on, Fletcher. I don't want to have to negotiate with some of these guys. A lot of these guys have really low interest, so we're going to try and get everybody up there as much as possible. So let's go another 3 days. Damn, we're losing a lot of games as of late. It's not great. 52 and 42. At least we're still leading our division, but it's only a 2.5 game up now. Interesting. I didn't want to go to that. Okay, let's get these guys off the list here and try and sign those guys that we can sign. Come on, boys. Please sign these. Hey, thank you, Pablo. Thank you, Pablo. How about Fletcher? You want to sign now? Hey, thank you. We got him signed. Yeah, the rest of these guys need to be scouted out fully more. So we'll get Becerra into the middle part so he could actually get his percentage up there a lot. Workman's pretty close, so I'm going to get De Silva scouted out more, because I do need to get those guys to get as much interest as possible. Pineda has torn his Achilles. Oh, no. Oh, no. That is a major loss. Let's go auto on that, and then stop the sim. That's a big, big loss. I don't like that we're getting injuries while I'm trying to do this draft stuff. That is a big loss to the outfield. So, I mean, Bill O'Donnell's going to come in now as a full-time starter for the rest of the season, but we lost Pineda for the rest of the year on that. That is not great. I mean, O'Donnell's been pretty solid, but I don't like that at all. That's not a great injury. That could also hurt his player stats quite a bit. Like if we go to, where's the injury thing again? It's not in the training. Oh, injured list, here we go. Yeah, that's torn Achilles tendon. That could hurt his career. I hope it doesn't, because he was doing okay this year. He wasn't doing phenomenal, but still. Losing Bill is not good. Not good at all. Let's continue to get this draft pick stuff done, because that is important. We did get 2 wins in a row, though. 3 wins in a row, even without Pineda. Nice. I like it. Springer's still at 46. Becerra's at 26. De Silva is at 39. Let's try and get Workman up to above 50, because he is very close to being above 50. Let's do another 3 days. We might honestly not be able to sign everybody in this draft, just because we have 9 days to get them all signed. And they're all going up pretty damn slowly, especially Becerra. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sign him. And he's looking decent right now still. Another 3 days, another 2 wins. That's nice to see. 58 and 44. We're still 3 games up on the Mariners, who have shot up out of nowhere. So that's a bit scary, because the Mariners are probably the best team in this division. So, Howard Springer, let's get that interest up there quite a bit, because I need you to sign here. He declines. Come on. Oh, man. This is not looking good. This is not looking good. We got 6 days to sign everybody. I honestly might have to just let the other guys walk if needed. So we'll go 3 more days, because obviously Springer's the most important out of the bunch. Let's go auto on that. Oh my goodness. Let's drive that interest up there to 60, please, Springer. Thank you. Springer is accepted. These other 2 will get scouted out longer, and hopefully we can get that interest up there a decent chunk in these last 3 days. And hopefully whatever we give them is enough to sign them. There's 2 more wins. And there's another win. 62 and 45. I think we are going to be a playoff bound team based on this right now. Let's go to sign draft picks here. And this is what we have to offer these guys. We have 2.92. Let's go up to this. Come on, Becerra, please. I might sign him in the offseason if he rejects. He accepts. Perfect. Rest of his money is going to De Silva, and he has low interest, so this is a high risk that we're not going to get him back, get him in. So we might sign him this offseason, but let's see if De Silva accepts. He declines. So Juan De Silva, tell me that in the comments to sign him in the offseason, and I'll try and do that, because he's the first player we have not signed in quite some time. So that kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Let's advance 1 more day. And we should be able to look at the draft class results now, which is good. And then we'll also take an updated look at our player stats as well to wrap up this episode. But let's see how good our players were. Why did Springer's potential change to 86 to 98 instead of, what was it before, 80 to 96? I think it changed. It's because we scattered him out longer. We might have got a better range. That's interesting. Let's see how good Springer is. Yes, he's a potential 64 overall, 20. His contact hitting is good, but that power hitting is definitely not good, like we were saying. And yeah, a potential 64 at 20 is good. He could have been a B potential guy, but he's an A potential guy, so I like that a lot. That's a great pick there with Howard Springer. I was thinking he was going to be more of a B potential player, but the B and A potential is nice. Obviously not as good as Ned Thompson from last year, but still, really good pick there. I will take it. Our next pick, Raymond Chu. Not terrible. A little bit low of an overall for a 23-year-old, to be honest. He might end up not making it, really, or being more as a reliever. I don't really know. 62 at 23 is pretty low. B potential's nice. So we'll see if he ends up being anything. But, yeah, it sucks that he's 23. That's the only thing I have problems with. Our next pick, Fletcher Sanchez, a potential 49 overall at 18, so he was a good steal. I thought he was going to be. That's why I ended up taking him. And yeah, that's nice. It's a nice deal. Good long-term project for a shortstop, so hopefully we can marinate him into being something decent for us in the future. Our next pick here, we got Pablo Cabrera. And solid if he was supposed to go undrafted, I think, so that's not terrible. 55 at 21 is a little bit low, but B potential. He might be able to turn into a decent reliever because he's got the hits and the base on balls a 9. The Ks a 9 needs to be a little bit higher up, and home runs a 9 too, but he could be more of a reliever, like a long reliever, my guess. Our next pick here, Tyler Workman, not as good as I was hoping, but C potential at 55 at 18. Isn't terrible, because at least it's not a D potential. C potential wise, he could still maybe make it as kind of like a bullpen player. I don't think he's going to be a starter ever with this team, but still I don't mind that pick, but it's more because he's 18 and he has chance to outdevelop that C potential. And Albert Bracera, B potential 45 at 18. Another kind of project player, but that gives us another potentially good outfielder for the future if we end up losing like Gelman or O'Donnell, that type of thing. And that was our draft. And Springer's got 93 potential, so solid there for Springer. Hopefully we could get him into being a better shortstop. We also got Chu, who's got 87 potential, Sanchez at 94 potential, Cabrera at 89, Workman at 77, and Becerra at 89 as well. So that draft actually kind of surprised me in terms of actually drafting some solid potential players. It's all about if they could actually reach that stage, obviously, but hopefully Springer is the man to do so at least. If not, hopefully Fletcher Sanchez could get there, because now we have at least some more shortstop prospects in our system. So let's take a look at the rest of these teams and what they drafted. So starting off with the Mariners, who are in our division, their best player they drafted was Kevin Wilson, starting pitcher. Also got Carr, and everybody else was not super great. Texas, Pedro Ruiz, solid relief pitcher prospect, nothing else really. The Braves, they got Fernando Chavez, who's solid for a first baseman prospect, but nothing A potential wise. The Miami Marlins took Jim Higgins with, I think it was a second overall pick, the short guy that we were talking about. He's only a 53 at 18 with 68 potential. He does have okay contact hitting against right-handed pitchers, but geez. And he's a 5'8" guy. That's how tall he is. So, yeah, he was definitely short. He looked actually shorter than 5'8", to be honest. They also got Jose Cano, who's okay, but not a great draft for the Marlins. The Mets, they got Brent Sandoval, who's got 8 potential, just barely. Good outfielder. That would have been kind of a nice pick in a sense because we could use more outfielders, but oh well. And Cedeno is okay. A little bit of a low overall, but still okay. The Phillies, yeah, they missed with that pick. I knew it. Eric Escobar is not that good. But they did pick up Julian Sparbory, who is looking much better than him. They also drafted Roberto Dominguez. And they got a great steal there potentially in Dave Voilo, who's only a 46 at 21, so that's not great, but 88 potential. Then the Washington Nationals got Bob Klein, who we are looking at potentially as a pick. He is okay. High overall, low potential. Has good contact hitting though, so he might end up being able to outdevelop that B potential. Who knows? Or outplay that B potential. Richard Gardner is the best pick for the Cubs, and he's okay. He's nothing spectacular. Carrasco for the Reds, who went first overall. Solid, but I don't know if he's a first overall pick. Billy Seymour, high overall, really low potential, and it's not good. Wow. Kevin Weinstein, looking good. That's another good pick for the Brewers. I thought he was a starting pitcher, but for some reason he's a third baseman. But anyways, that's another great steal for them. Good power hitting against righties like we were scouting out. Yeah, he's going to be a solid player. They're starting to build up a pretty good foundation in Milwaukee of good prospects. Luis Parker's there as well. David Tan was not that good, so it's kind of good that we didn't take him. Yeah, he's a very major project player, and he's only got C potential as well. Not a good draft for the Pirates. The Cardinals had a good draft, a really good draft actually. They get Tim Messias, really solid prospect. Connie Robbins as well, solid prospect. And Adam McCain, solid prospect. All three of those guys are 18 years old and have a potential. They also got Rafael Urbina, who looks solid too. Then the Diamondbacks, they got Bruno Ayala, 89 potential. That's not bad. That's all they got. The Rockies, they got Cy West, who's looking solid as well. Jerome Lyon, who's also solid. So 2 good center fielders. And Will Grieve, who's an okay relief pitcher prospect, but that's it. The Dodgers, pretty much only Gene Doby and Tom Quo. So there's their picks. And then we move on to the Padres, the Padres who took Rodrigo Bracero, who we were looking at. He does not have a high potential, which kind of sucks. I was kind of looking at this guy because I did need another catching prospect, but he's only got C potential, so he's not that great. So I'm kind of glad we never end up taking him. Dan Palmeiro is their best pick, though. This guy is going to be a stud. 62 overall at 18. Good power hitting. Yeah, that guy's going to be a good power hitter for sure. The next team, the Giants, they got Esquivel, who's okay. They also got Fredlin, who's good. And they also got Esparza. They drafted a lot of left fielders for some reason. And here's Johnny Randolph, who is kind of like an Ozzie Cardenas. I kind of wish I took this guy, but I don't in a sense. He's a 73 overall of the draft with some really good contact hitting, especially against righties. He's also got some solid power game. His potential is okay too. It's a little bit low, but I mean, he could probably easily outgrow that based on that contact hitting. Yeah, that's a decent pick there for the Orioles at number 6, even if he is that low of a potential. He's got a good overall, and he's got good contact hitting. He's going to actually do some damage. Luis Valentine, who we were looking at, the 23-year-old, 60 overall at 23 with 86 potential. This guy's got a cool name. Al Ali. What a name. Virgil Pride's also kind of solid there. Then we go to the Red Sox. Whaley, solid prospect, and that's it. The Yankees with Horgan, who we were looking at, solid. Nothing spectacular, but solid. Really good contact hitting. Yeah, that's what I was liking about this guy. Contact, speed, stealing. It's pretty much what Ollie Gentleman does right now. Cesar Hinojosa is solid as well. And Cruz is a great steal. 49 at 21 is low, but 97 potential. That's the highest potential player, I think, in this draft right now. And then also the Tampa Bay Rays, Merrifield, solid. Whoa, 74 at 18. I didn't realize he was that high of an overall. This guy is really good. I don't even know when this guy was drafted, but he's a high overall. And then there's also Dan Chase, who we're looking at, who's a 59 at 18. But 2 really good picks there, and then nothing really else. The Blue Jays, Paul Schnell's their best pick. Not a good draft for them. The White Sox, Freddie Singer is pretty good. Everybody else kind of average. Montaigne's is a little bit lower. Montez, I should say. Montaigne's, there's the Montaigne's I was thinking of. This guy is, he's okay. Wouldn't say he's fantastic by any standard. And then the Tigers, they just got Valentine, and that was it. He's 71 at 21, so good starting overall. Not a super high ceiling, but still a good solid setup guy maybe for the future. Lionel Fishman, high overall, low potential. Kind of glad we didn't take him. Christopher Ryder's okay. And Sherwood Herzog is a major project considering he's 22 already. And then the Twins, John E. Wiley is the best player probably that should have went in the first round high up. 94 potential at 18. Yeah, and he's a 67. Yeah, he's going to be a really good pitcher. That's a good pick up there for the Twins. Mario Gonzalez is also okay. And in the Houston Astros, they got Steven Ellis, not the guy that works for the Hockey News. There you go. And then finally, the Angels, who are kind of like a rival with us. Brian Thayer, solid starting pitcher prospect there for them. Kevin Messias, solid player there for the outfield. And Matt Ramirez. And there's the draft. I think we had one of the best drafts in terms of depth. We didn't necessarily draft all the best players in the draft, but I think we got one of the best drafts in terms of depth. So that's nice. That is nice indeed. Let's take a quick look to wrap up this episode at some player stats in the MLB, just in case you guys want me to make any changes for the start of next episode. Contract extension wise, I guess we'll have to wait till the offseason on these guys, but these are the major guys still that need to be signed this offseason, so you can see It's going to get a little bit expensive soon. But let's take a look at our updated player stats and see who is performing well and who isn't. So Garth Howe is still on a different planet completely. Winning games, ERA wise is really good, whip wise is good. Gary McAllister is doing okay. He's doing okay. Sammy Gomez is still doing really good as well, so that's good to see. Brian Morris, since being moved as a starter, he started 4 games. His numbers still seem to be good, so that's nice. Sparbori has been kind of our worst pitcher, but still pitching looks good. Darren Poles, since getting called up, has been solid. I like it. Bobby Hyde has been really good still. Jack Birch has been solid. His whip is a little bit high, but still. Todd Goss has been tragic. That's the one player that's not been that great. Robol's been good. Robert's been fantastic. Guzman's been solid. And Lake has been solid. All in all, I think our pitching has been really good this year. The one player that has not been good, though, has been Todd Goss. I don't know if there's anybody to call up to replace him, but let me take a quick look if there's anybody to replace him. There might be. There might be, because Osuna's up to a 76. Who knows what happens in the next half of the season, but there's that. And finally, our lineup. Trevino is batting at 249. He's not been still doing as good this year, but it's okay. If you guys want me to change this lineup at all, let me know. Pinheiro batting at 218 is not great. Sixto's now batting at 345. He was batting at 330. Holy crap. How do you improve that average even more? Jeez. Pip's doing okay. Gardenia's batting still at 291. Steiner's still batting at 293. Schneider's batting at 270. He also wants to get paid, apparently. Gelman's fallen off a little bit, but he's still batting at 296. And O'Donnell's batting at 272. Carrillo is batting at 192 off the bench. McMahon's batting at 245. And that's pretty much it. There might be somebody we have to call up in terms of outfielders and stuff like that. Or pitchers or batters or something like that. One last thing, let's see, we are at 62 and 45. The wild card spot right now is 57 and 49. We are 4.5 games up on the Mariners, and then everybody else is quite far back. We just got to keep on winning games. And team ranking wise, just want to take a quick look at this too. 8th in batting average. We're still scoring a lot of runs. Still up there in doubles. Not getting the home runs, but that's okay. We're up there still in RBIs. Stealing is still great. We're still drawing a lot of walks. Yeah, I think we're still doing really well. ERA is number 2 in the league, or tied for 1st in the league. Our pitching is doing good. Our pitching is doing good. I don't even know if there's anything we need to change at this rate. It's probably because of Garth Howe and Sammy, but still. That is fantastic to see. We've been doing this well this year. Love to see it. Love to see it. Yeah, see, we've allowed the second least amount of runs, I think. Wait, let me take a look at this standing stuff again for a second. We've only allowed 432, which is the lowest in our division, yeah. Everything's looking pretty damn good. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our not Anchorage, oh my goodness, our see, I told you I was tired. Our Vancouver Rain Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to simulating the rest of the regular season, and if we make the playoffs, obviously each playoff round will be its own episode, so that'll be exciting. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.